Hello, everybody. So, update part 2 is we're still here in the Laguna Montebello region in Mexico. We just sort of spent the last week or so deep in the jungle.
Lacandona jungle.
The Lacandona jungle, which is in eastern Chiapas, near the border of Guatemala. So we drove some really small, windy roads out to a community called Metzabok.
There are 150 people that live there, and I think pretty much all of them speak Maya.
And it's one of the only Mayan sort of groups of Mayan people that weren't conquered by the Spanish when they came in, when the conquistadores came in.
So they were able to retain like a lot of their cultural traditions and ceremonies, and well, we'll get more to that in a little, but we got there and they showed us an area to camp, but right after we had pulled into our campground, a young kid, probably I guess he was 18 or so, walked out in full white tunic and long dark brown hair and bangs, which is the sort of like typical or traditional dress of this community. And he, I think, was just so fascinated by the car, all of our things, all of our belongings,
all of our junk,
that he couldn't not stare. It was just this, it was our first 10 minutes of being at this campground was
very awkward.
It was accompanied by this kid just staring and actually kind of following AshLivin anywhere he would go, like within, a foot of him.
Yeah.
And so we were a little taken aback in the beginning, but as the time went on, it showed to be an incredible experience, and ended up being that the next day when we took a tour of the lake on a boat, his dad was our captain.
Guide, yeah, so we took this sort of lancha trip with this family. It was the dad, the 18-year-old son, and then their 8-year-old kid,
Gustavo,
that all came along with us, and it was in this little tiny boat with these wooden oars, and we paddled out into the enormous lake in this jungle.
And they don't allow any motorized boats out there, so because it contaminates the water, which is really, really special.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So this boat tour took us to an area where there were some old Mayan remains, sort of in this little overhanging cave area. We saw some sort of rock paintings that were hundreds of years old, also done by the ancestors of these people that were guiding us on this boat tour. We hiked up what's called El Mirador, which is just like a viewpoint, a huge mountain at the edge of this lake, which was just a spectacular view from the top. On the way sort of back in the sort of tail end of the boat tour, it was just pouring rain, which just felt really surreal and amazing.
It was epic. Their tunics were totally drenched, just
totally
soaked with water. They were paddling their hearts out. and we got back. I mean, it ended up being a 4.5, 5-hour tour or so. We got back, and the dad invited us over to his home to see some of the jewelry that his one of his wives, makes. And so after we changed out of our wet clothes, we went over to their house, and he had boiled some water actually for coffee, which was a little confusing, but anyways, it worked out. But they're I mean, they don't have walls in their house. It's just a chain link fence that surrounds it, and there was a blanket on the floor where someone clearly was sleeping, and it's, I mean, very, very rustic.
Rustic, yeah.
Yeah.
Very extreme poverty.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
And while the sort of experience was incredible, and we felt so privileged to get to meet these indigenous Mayans
and to be
welcomed by them and hosted by them, and they eventually, we shared with them our coffee, and we gave them a flashlight, and they gave us tortillas and beans and showed us their garden, and it was a really incredible experience. But we also felt super conflicted because our presence is sort of
what ruins
contributing
their
to their downfall. Us as sort of these Western tourists with money and with privilege, we come in
with lots of things that they want,
We sort of show them what else is out there, and so we were reeling from the experience for the next day. A couple of days. We spent the drive out of this community just like we couldn't stop thinking about how weird it was, and how amazing it was, and how damaging our presence was, and
how that affects our future visits on this trip and where we would decide to go as a tourist. It's almost as if going to a place that's really crowded is better because it's already been destroyed to some extent. Little by little, with the tourism influence coming in there, it's altering their heritage, and
certainly.
And it was great for us to be able to go in, but it was sort of this we go in and we get all these experiences, and we take all this back with us, and what do they get from this?
They actually got a really cool National Geographic map. We had this great idea that we would
so stupid.
give them a gift before we left, and so Liv had the idea of giving them a map of Mexico, which seemed kind of special at the moment. We thought, we could show them where they are in the map relative to where we came from in the States. As we were giving them the map, we were sort of explaining what it was, and they just seemed completely disinterested. And we sort of gave it to them, and they folded it back up and put it on the table, and that was kind of it.
And we presented it as if it was going to be this big moment.
That was definitely our expectation, but
we had a lot.
I think they valued the LED flashlight that we gave them a little bit more, probably.
And we bought some of their jewelry.
Oh yeah, that was good. Anyway, so that was a very interesting experience, a very amazing, conflicting, thought-provoking experience for both of us.
We really wanted to make sure we shared enough about that experience to honor it, because it was a really powerful one, for positive and negative reasons.
Totally. So after leaving Metzabok and leaving the family behind, we continued driving through the jungle, and went to a place called Las Guacamayas, which is actually, a guacamaya is a red macaw, or what they would call in the States maybe a scarlet macaw. It's like an enormous parrot, like 2 feet, 3 feet tall.
Bright red, blue, yellows.
Just a beautiful bird. It's what you see in the zoos, basically, when you think of a huge parrot. Anyways, there's a bioreserve that is working to preserve
and rehab
the sort of environment of this bird, and So we stayed there, we camped there, and we actually spent a couple of days just doing nothing, just sitting at our campsite and observing the jungle, and it was beautiful.
Incredible. We would be sitting there and we'd look up and see a troop of howler monkeys eating in the tree right above us. We'd look over that way and we saw 2 toucans. We saw probably 6 toucans while we were there. And then at one point, Ashwin saw more than I did, but 2 red macaws just flew right overhead, you know, with making their bird call. And
lots of spider monkeys
monkeys.
Swinging in the trees, being hilariously animate and human-like. But yeah, that was a special sort of experience for us in the jungle. Just a lot of wildlife viewing.
We needed that time to sort of calm down after our trip to Metzabok.
Totally. Then after Las Guacamayas, we kept driving through the jungle and had a short sort of pit stop in Las Nubes, which was a really beautiful sort of system of waterfalls or cascadas through the jungle that were just electric blue. It was the weirdest and coolest color of a river water we'd ever seen, and so that was pretty spectacular.
And just the whole experience getting there, the drive is this narrow, like 1-lane road through these mountains, through the forests. You can see these views of just like rolling hills for miles and miles. And then we came here, we're up high right now, which is why we're wearing our beanies. We're at 5,000 feet right now, actually, and last night it got down to 50 or something.
Yeah, if not colder, yeah. We had a fire for the first time
since Monterey.
Yeah, for a long time, so that was really special.
Yeah.
Repite la poema, por favor.
Tírame lima, tírame limón, tírame las llaves de tu corazón. Lápiz y punta no puedo escribir, yo sin tu amor no puedo vivir. Tírame lima, tírame limón, tírame las llaves de tu corazón.
And now we're heading sort of out to explore the sort of more civilized parts of Chiapas, and then we'll head into Guatemala, where we hope to do a Spanish language immersion sort of program. So with that, this is Ashwin for AshLivin, and we will talk to you later. Bye.